Good evening, everyone. We're waiting for a few more people to come into the meeting before we start the meeting, so there'll be a delay in a few minutes. So we're gonna mute for now, but please stay on line.
Yeah, but I already have south of Cancun for 3 days.
Good evening.
Sorry.
Good evening. Welcome to the December 17th meeting of Manhattan Community Board 5 Land Use Housing and Zoning Committee. I'm Nancy Gosho, Chair of the committee, joined by our Vice Chair Julie Chu and committee members. And we'd like the committee members to introduce themselves, starting with those in the room. Let's start with the man on my left with the hat on.
I'm Zool.
I'm Michael Greeley.
I'm David Sigmund.
Chris Jackson, Ronald Vikram,
Libby Hutton.
Kevin Frizz.
Do we have anyone online? No, okay, so that's who will be working with us tonight on the committee. So any items voted on at this meeting will be voted on by the full board at our Thursday, January 8th full board meeting. Before we start the agenda, do any members of the public or committee members have any new LUHZ committee business items?
I do. Do we discuss it at the end or do we discuss it now?
You wanna wait till the end?
Yeah, we can wait till the.
And what about the public? Anyone from the public?
So who's part of this application?
Raise your hand if you have a new business item for the land use committee on a land use issue only. None, right? None. Okay, seeing none, we will go on to going through the order of the meeting. After each presentation, our one presentation tonight, committee members will ask questions, then we'll take questions and comments from the public. While there's no time limit on comments, we ask that you speak succinctly and avoid repetition of a prior speaker. Please use the raised hand function. Julie will call on you. Use Zoom's raised hand on your phone, hit *9, raise your hand, hit *6 to unmute. After the public questions and comments, we will go into our business session where only committee members and board members can participate in the discussion. There will be no further input from the public or the applicants unless recognized by me, the chair. Board members, if they're online, will be promoted to panelists for business session. And still, we have no board members online. Do we have any board members online? None. Okay. Finally, once we finish the business session, or toward the end of the business session, rather, I will call for a motion, a second, it will take a vote. And after the last agenda item, we'll adjourn the meeting. So I just wanted to remind everyone that the purpose of our committee is to promote development that aligns with city goals and district needs. Evaluate proposals based on long-term public benefit and foster a collaborative, consensus-driven process among diverse stakeholders. Our role is to ensure that land use and zoning reflect community needs and to help create equitable, resilient, and thriving Midtown Manhattan neighborhoods. We have two items on our agenda tonight with one draft resolution to vote on. Presenters, public attendees, and committee members, in the interest of time, let's aim for 30 minutes per agenda item. So let's start with our first agenda item, which is a hotel special permit application to facilitate hotel use with ground floor retail at 509 Madison Avenue, which is located at the southeast corner of Madison and 53rd Street. This will be a partial rebuild of the existing building. Our lead committee member for this application is Ronald Vikram. And I'd like to start with Ronald. Do you have any comments you'd like to make before the presentation?
No, we can just start the presentation.
By the way, Ronald and I briefly reviewed the presentation we're about to see tonight, so I hope it will be helpful. So let's go ahead and who will?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Nick Williams. I'm an attorney with Fried Frank. We're land use counsel to the applicant, 509 Madison LLC. I'm joined by representatives from ownership, Trevor Atwell, Fawad Chartouni, as well as Jim Hare and Mike Orman from Vignoli Architects, the project architect. I'm going to take us through a brief presentation about the proposal, which is to reposition an existing building in Midtown Manhattan for hotel use. I think this is the fourth hotel, will be the fourth new hotel in New York, or the new hotel approved since the enactment of the special permit requirement in 2021. So we're very excited to tell you more about this project. You all see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Great. So for orientation, the property 509 Madison Avenue, it's at the northwest corner of the block bounded by 53rd Street, Park Avenue, 52nd Street, and Madison Avenue. It's to the west of the Park Avenue Plaza office tower. It's an area that's predominantly commercial in East Midtown, surrounded by office buildings. It's in a C53 zoning district within the Special Midtown District and the East Midtown Subdistrict. The site is above the E&M subway trains. There's actually a subway entrance that was constructed within the base of the building when it was constructed in the late 1920s, which will remain as part of this project. And the building contains approximately 139,000 square feet of floor area, representing a floor area ratio of about 20. So it's overbuilt for current regulations. The applicant is an affiliate of Kinsico Properties, which has a great depth of experience managing hotels, particularly with the Lowell Hotel on the Upper East Side on 63rd Street in Manhattan. This is a boutique hotel, 74 hotel rooms, a little bit smaller than the proposed hotel here, but with a similar side street frontage and entrances and service entrances. So the team has a wealth of experience in dealing with this type of property. This slide shows the proposed repositioning program. You can see on the left-hand side the existing building. The proposal is to remove the facade of the building, remove the upper floors above the initial setback, and then reconstruct the area that was removed in an addition that complies with current Special Midtown District bulk regulations. There are some existing non-compliances that will remain per zoning. The street wall will remain as it is, and the existing floor area will be retained. But other than the hotel special permit that we're seeking, the project is completely as of right and will comply with all applicable zoning controls. Just briefly on program, you can see here on the right-hand side, so the building rises about 15 stories at the street lines. There'll be a setback with a terrace, a passive recreation terrace adjacent to the amenity space for the hotel. A further setback above, I believe, the 21st floor, adjacent to an individual hotel room, and then at the top of the building, an area that is contemplated for landscaping, which is not accessible, adjacent to the mechanical uses. So the proposed hotel would have approximately 136,000 square feet of hotel floor area. And so the approval that we're seeking is to allow this portion of the building to be used for use group 5 hotel use. There will also be a ground floor retail component with frontage on Madison Avenue. And the program is anticipated to be approximately 96 hotel rooms. And this is a view looking east on 53rd Street from the west side of Madison Avenue. This slide shows the illustrative ground floor plan, which is also included with the filed land use application. So you can see here, starting at the top left, the existing service entrance for the building will be retained and repurposed to serve the hotel and the retail use. The existing subway entrance will remain in place, the stair entrance to the E and the M train. The applicant will be coordinating with the MTA during the construction process in an effort to avoid disruption to that entrance. The hotel entrance would be situated at the corner of Madison and 53rd Street, with the entrance facing onto 53rd Street. The reason being that there are bus lanes on Madison Avenue, and so the goal is that guests arriving or departing by car would be dropped off and picked up at the 53rd Street entrance, where there will be valet parking for those who wish to park their cars, as well as door service and sort of bellhops to ensure an efficient transition from the hotel to the vehicles. The area is also obviously very well served by public transit with the bus lines, with the subway station, and there's also a city bike station across the street. The retail component would occupy the majority of the Madison Avenue frontage to activate that frontage with the entrance at the southern portion adjacent to the office building at 501 Madison Avenue. Again, the action being sought here is a single action, which is the special permit under ZR section 74-152 to allow the majority of this building to be utilized for use group 5 transient hotel use. And that is the extent of the presentation. Fairly straightforward. We are happy to answer any questions the committee has.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question. Can you tell us, what is going on the 3 terraces that you have showed trees planted? I think they're on the 16th. And then the next floor is the next terrace.
15th to 21st on the rooftop.
So, let me answer, please. Can you answer the question when,
Yes.
Where-
So this is at the 16th floor is a passive recreation terrace with seating and landscaping. Adjacent to the hotel's amenity floors. There may be a cafe use there. There's a gym, other typical hotel amenities. Moving up the building, this terrace here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, on the 21st floor is adjacent to one of the suites of the hotel. So it's a private terrace for that suite. And at the top of the building, the intention is that this area would not be accessible at this time. We're showing trees in this illustrative rendering. There's going to be an effort to provide greening at that level.
so you're planning on having an outdoor dining and bar on the 16th floor terrace, is that correct?
The specific programming hasn't been confirmed, and whether there will be outdoor dining with table service, I don't think that's been confirmed. To the extent there's a bar that would require a liquor license, the applicant, the operator would need to come back for a liquor license approval by this board.
So Mernal, you're our lead committee member. Why don't you go through your list of questions first?
I asked a lot of these with the applicant already, so, let's see, so the type of retail has not been programmed yet, so they don't know what kind of retail is gonna go in. The loading and the unloading for the retail will be the same as that for the hotel, which is the service entrance. They do not anticipate there being any tour buses coming into the hotel. They will accommodate off-peak loading hours as much as possible. As far as signage limits go, only as of right signage they're planning to only have as of right signage. And we did ask about the restriction on amplified music. Since there is no events venue, that's our understanding for this hotel. The only space that could potentially have outdoor music would be the 16th floor wraparound terrace. Is that right? If to the extent that you decide to have some sort of programming there.
That's correct. I don't think that's the intention at this point, but that's correct.
Then they will have staff for curb management on the drop off on 53rd Street. There will be internal trash storage. They anticipate that the city bike rack on the north side of 53rd will remain. Then what else was this? The construction timeline they said was I'm sorry, could you talk about the construction timeline again?
Sure. So the proposed construction timeline is 2 years, running from the beginning of next year. A fair amount of work has already been done on interior demolition for the building. So that work will be picked up in the new year, and the goal is to have the project ready to be opened in January of 2028.
And then 2 more things. I think the applicant had mentioned that they plan to make minor improvements to the subway entrance on 53rd Street. Is that correct?
Well, I think there's willingness if the MTA would like us to think about improving finishes to that entrance in connection with the work that's being done. There's willingness. We haven't had direct conversations with the MTA on that point yet.
You have not.
We have not. There's been initial coordination as the construction filings have proceeded. But we haven't had coordination or meetings with respect to potential work within or adjacent to the existing entrance.
To the extent that we do decide to approve this application today, to the extent that we can facilitate that communication with the MTA, I don't know who would be responsible for that. We could look at that. And then there was also, you said that you also have the intention of having more street trees on Madison.
That's the goal. I think we don't yet have a firm sense of subsurface conditions and whether that will be allowed or feasible due to the subsurface conditions, but that is, as you can see in the rendering here, that is the intention.
Thank you.
Okay, so, before we continue on, just as part of our deliberation, we did write a letter on November 14th, 2025 to the Director of the Department of City Planning regarding recommendations for changes to the hotel special permit. There, I have 3 copies here. If anyone would like, they don't recall what it is.
Here we
People
go.
can have that. And then so while we might want to take a look at that. Who else on the committee has questions?
Want Nancy, the HTC letter, you wanna?
No, let's do that. Questions? Michael,
So it's 100 hotel rooms and, what are the other amenities in the hotel? Is there any food and beverage service?
There's an interior sort of catering area for room service, which I believe is located at the middle of the stack here, and they're also contemplating having a cafe that guests of the hotel can come by and pick up food.
And, so a grab and go cafe?
I don't know that that's been firmly decided yet.
Oh.
The programming of that component is still being worked out.
And any other amenities, meeting rooms, spa, gym, anything else?
There will be a gym, and I can turn to Trevor at Kensico and ask if there are plans for a spa or other similar amenities.
We're thinking about a gym of sorts just for the hotel users, and again, to Nick's point, still being determined as we develop the programming.
And the laundry is gonna be done not in the building, correct?
The laundry will be off-site, and pickup and drop-off will be coordinated during overnight hours.
Okay.
David,
Following up on some of the questions that Mike was asking, so as we understand it, the hotel special permit requirement in East Midtown was imposed in 2017, and there has to be a finding that the hotel will provide on-site amenities and services that support the area's role as a business district. So if you could just address that directly, how you see this application meeting the finding requirement that city planning is going to have to generate in order for you to get the approval that you're looking for in the ULURP process.
The special permit that we're seeking, I think in 2021, the citywide hotel special permit regimes replaced the East Midtown regime.
Right.
The findings now relate primarily to the site planning and consideration of adjacencies, which we've taken into account by the location of the entrances and operational considerations around deliveries and drop-offs and things like that. But I will say the expectation is that the addition of a new hotel in East Midtown will itself be an amenity to the neighborhood, and will promote its sort of standing as a central business district.
And in terms of the timing, you said on the start of construction sometime at the beginning of the year, can you walk us through what the rest of this process is for you that gets you to that timing? Because typically, what are we, the 60 days that we have, and then the borough president, and then city council has to vote on it? Is that what's dictating when you can actually go in and start new work, or is something else dictating that?
No, the demolition process can proceed while the ULURP is proceeding. So a lot of demolition has already occurred. in the building and on the interior, not on the exterior as of yet. So that permit will be picked up and that work will continue, with the goal being to start moving into the phase of repositioning for the hotel use, following the culmination of ULURP later, in the spring of next year.
Okay. And one of the concerns that we had in the fact that you have to go through a special permit, I mean, this is an interesting case. You're only the second hotel that we've seen in Community Board 5. The other is the Little Nell. It's a little bit larger. I think it's 130 rooms. They were talking about rates of like $2,500 a night. They're within Rockefeller Center, so that environment sort of lends itself to what the rest of the findings would be for that. But I'm wondering at, 96 rooms in this location, what the burden is of having to go through a special permit process in order to operate this hotel, and whether that was part of, your client's thinking when they acquired this building, what the history of that is.
Well, I think in the terms of the history of acquisition, Kinsico has owned this property for quite some time, for several decades at least, and it's operated as a small scale office building.
Right.
For those years, and obviously COVID had a huge impact on the sort of viability of the building for office use.
Right.
And so with their experience running the Lowell, pursuing a hotel seemed to be a natural next step. I will say the special permit process gave pause, given the length of time to go through the city planning process, to go through the environmental review process. But we sort of gained a lot of confidence along the way that this was the right use for this site and for this building.
Going back to this question of the finding, because it's, I mean, are you actually within the East Midtown district where the East Midtown finding would apply? Or, you had mentioned the 2021, which was broader. That had its own finding. And did you get comfort before you came to us that city planning was prepared to make these findings in the ULURP process? How did you get this comfort that you just referred to? Well, the findings are very general, so we're trying to understand how anybody gets comfort that they're going to meet these general findings.
Well, the findings are general. I think that, the city planning process has a lengthy pre-certification period where there are numerous meetings with the city to talk through the programming, to talk through the proposal, and talk through how that's documented on the application materials, including the plans that were filed. And so city planning, the Department of City Planning readily agreed that this was an appropriate use for this location, and have been supportive of our pursuit of this application, and have helped us or given comments that have informed how we've responded to the findings here.
Okay. And I mean, our interest is, what is there to say about this application? It's essentially as of right. So the only real question is, what has the burden of time and cost been in the special permit, which is our concern. Is that holding back? One of the things that was raised when these special permits were first put in place was that there was a lot of inventory overhang during and after COVID. Mm-hmm. And so this was a way of controlling new hotel inventory. I mean, I assume that your client is now comfortable that the business case is made for delivering new hotel inventory, where maybe that wasn't the case, a few years ago in 21 when this was first created.
Yeah, I think the reason for the hotel special permit is largely political. It was an initiative of the city council, it didn't originate in the planning department. And I would sort of say anecdotally, as a practitioner in New York City land use, it has prevented people from pursuing hotels. It's led to fewer hotels being constructed, and I think that's fairly obvious to anyone who has family come to visit the city these days. But I do think a ULURP, going through a full special permit process is a daunting prospect, especially when you have financial partners and lenders who may not be familiar with New York City practice and who recognize that a special permit is a discretionary approval, which creates a lot of risk, a lot of financing risk. And that's something this project has had to overcome and has overcome, but I think that a lot of projects probably are not able to overcome that hurdle in the early stages.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are, obviously our concerns. And again, the fact that you're only the second application we've seen in almost 5 years in the center of Midtown, gives us continued concern. So, but yeah, I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Anybody else have questions for this applicant? Kevin?
Just a quick one. Given where you're gonna price the hotel rooms, who do you see as the most relevant hotel competitors in the neighboring vicinity that are already in place?
I would say the St. Regis and the Baccarat are two very likely competitors. Same district and same quality of hotel.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, let's go to the public. We have one letter of support. I can pass these out from the Hotel Trades Council. You can take a look at that. They strongly support the application and encourage its advancement as a project that delivers meaningful benefits for workers, the community, and the city as a whole. So that's from the Hotel Trades Council. A little longer, and we will enter this into our records. So, anyone online, Julie? Nope. Seeing no one online, we will now go into the closed business session. Only committee members and board members that are online can speak. So, Mernal, do you have anything you'd like to talk about in terms of an idea for a resolution? Do we have more issues we need to talk about?
I mean, from my perspective, seems pretty straightforward. I did ask the question, pretty much, it is a more or less as of right development. But I did ask about the community benefit and, they're, aside from the fact that they're creating new hotel rooms in the area, they did say that they would look into making improvements to the entrance of into subway entrance and look at planting more street trees.
I guess it's a question.
Finish, they mentioned finishes only because they
Yeah.
won't change.
So it's not bonusable.
Oh, no.
That's
Yes, no.
No, they're not asking for any other
Just
permit
yes.
other than the hotel special.
And that too contingent upon their conversations with the MTA.
Make it nice.
So, any other comments on this? Libby?
I appreciated that, the thoughtfulness of, even though it's a mechanical space, that there was still an effort, potentially, I know it's not finalized yet, but the effort to maybe make it greener so that it's integrated sort of vertically. In a space, there's a lot less green, but it has other cooling and like pollutant cleaning benefits, which I really appreciated.
Okay.
And I really appreciated the street trees if possible, so.
Michael?
I'm just gonna say that, I appreciate they're not demolishing the whole building and they're keeping the street wall and so it's a lot less impact on the neighborhood for construction.
Ankur?
I also thought it was a thoughtful application. I'm supportive. I appreciated David's line of questioning that sort of elicited how difficult this process is now with the special permit. I know HTC was involved in the special permit and we've seen their letter. They support this one. And their letter is about that the developer uses unionized labor, is what these folks wanted, and they're getting it.
Cool.
I spoke to the manager of the Royalton yesterday afternoon. He's telling me their business is way up, well over 90%, and that there's demand at this level.
Yes, perfect.
Anybody else have any comments? Okay, do we have a motion? So,
Motion to pass this.
second?
3 second.
Okay, Renal, do you want to kind of give us an outline of what the reso will say so we know what we're voting on?
Sure. So aside from. And obviously feel free to add, but let me just pull up, I did do a draft resolution on this.
So we're voting on, this is an approval.
Yes, there aren't,
Will there
Right.
be any conditions? Did we vote on that?
I just,
No.
just as is.
No
Suggesting.
conditions. Okay,
it seems like a straightforward,
Okay.
approval. Yeah, just deciding everything that we've discussed, but. yeah.
anyone have anything they want to make sure Renal includes in his
Please
resolution?
note the letter of support in the resolution.
Yes.
I would
Yes,
love
of
to
course.
note the street trees, because that's still a little up in the air, but that, you
Okay.
know, all efforts be taken to
Yes.
figure that out, and the water around it is also a drainage thing, which we just learned about on Monday night.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
will
not
you
the
have
meeting
anything to add?
Yeah, and so the presenter mentioned the ZR section 74, 152, you've got that, so that's really the single action that they're looking for, the single action.
I still think I can back and I can't.
Yeah, hold on. And anything that was mentioned tonight that anyone wants to make sure it's in the resolution, that now's the time to tell us.
All the trees.
Okay,
I'm
Libby, we have yours.
on
David,
message.
We have yours. Yes,
Bit of a
Chris.
crapshoot working with the MTA, but I like the preserving or enhancing the subway entrance.
Yeah,
Enhancing, I think.
Yeah.
Right, like they said,
Preserve.
they would
Just
make an
sort of
effort.
cosmetically.
Yeah, we don't want to preserve it. It's not in great shape.
But not getting rid of it, but also, yeah, I know that subway station has, I don't think it has elevator, actually, it has an escalator, but I'm not
There's
sure
no
if that's.
there's no elevator.
That,
not there.
There's not
so
there.
just like any, making the entrance,
Accessibility.
like, it's like.
So we did ask the question about, I mean, obviously it was stretched, but we did ask if, they would be open to something like an elevator in there.
I mean,
But
I
was
was
told that
putting an elevator in.
They're not
Like,
reconfiguring.
they're not,
space
yeah,
of
it's
the
a nightmare,
building.
but even just like. Widening.
Well, they're not, the problem is they're not reconfiguring the
Yeah.
space of the building and the mechanical foundations. There's all kinds of stuff already there that they'll continue to use. So,
Yeah, I think that, Chris, and I mean, I think that's a good ask, if, you know, to see if there's a possibility, if they work with the MTA to make that stop ADA, accessible.
Acknowledging how difficult the MTA is to work.
no, acknowledging how difficult it is to work with the existing building
Yes.
will also be.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's
Because we were
not,
told there might not be space
I
for
don't think there
an
is.
elevator.
Yeah, and an elevator is bonusable, so we would.
Right, they would- yeah,
maybe
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
any
yeah,
recurring
yeah.
problems.
Okay, so do we know?
I
I don't
Ready-
feel a
Are we
strong
ready to vote?
need to.
No, hold on a second, so on this last point, are we including that, or what are we saying?
If
Just
we're
be like
being
the
told
Facebook.
that is not feasible, no, just.
I would
as
just say
is.
that, like, I like the idea that they are
What's that?
Just mention it.
making an effort to make it
Yeah.
nicer, like even just that is.
The finishes, improve,
It could be
upgrade the
the right
finish,
hope,
and
like,
improve and repair all the finishes.
I don't think we should ask of.
But- But I think Michael does make a good point, you wanna make it?
Just
Just
saying
make
what
the
you're
ad.
saying, that we
If at all
include it as a
possible.
whereas.
Yeah.
If at all possible, all transportation should be
Yep.
ADA.
Okay, David, anything else? You had your hand sort of up.
Oh,
Anybody else? Okay, so, we're ready to go to a vote?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm a,
Julie,
I'm a yes, Anker,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Nancy.
yes.
Michael.
yes,
Tris, Tristan's not here, Libby,
Yes.
David,
yes.
Myrtle,
Yes.
Zool,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, thank you, 509 application, it's approved unanimously by this committee, it will go before the full board in January. January 8th. You wanna follow along.
What was the
Thank you.
exact, the vote number? Louis?
And
Okay, so we have a new item to discuss. And David wants to talk about it. It's regarding MSMX Garment Center items in our points of agreement. regarding one of the major EDC funding sources that has a very limited window of opportunity. It is closing in the next few days, according to one garment center business owner, Tessa Mafucci. Say that name right. So David, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I got a call. Tessa, she's not a business owner. She teaches at Pratt. She has formed kind of an industry lobbying group, if you will, in the garment center. And they were one of the, involved parties during the MSMX negotiations over what programs would be instituted in MSMX to benefit the existing garment center businesses. And so really two things came up in my conversation with her. One is what Nancy just referenced. I forget the exact numbers, but there's a EDC program that would help. It would benefit landlords who would then subsidize rents for garment related businesses to reduce their occupancy costs. And the program, as I remember, was around $50 million out of a total package to the garment businesses that I think was in the range of around 120 million or something. It's on the commitment tracker website. But my understanding and from my discussion was that the program essentially, the legislation passed in August. The package, the application package for landlords to apply for this benefit didn't really come out until sometime maybe in October. And the date was essentially, I think, 6 weeks later. So kind of one of the keystone elements to provide affordability for garment district companies to remain in the district is going away after 6 weeks. And that was probably one of the prime legs of the stool for business retention.
A red herring.
Yeah, so that was, kind of the entry to the discussion. The rest of the discussion is, and this was really a question for Julie. She was saying, like, there are so many commitments that were made as part of the final rush to get the legislation approved. She thought there had been discussion of a community organization that would help oversee, all of these commitments. I know it was something we had asked for. I didn't remember, I don't think we ever really saw a final points of agreement on this, a document. And it's not, when I went through the commitment tracker, I didn't see anything mentioned about, any kind of community oversight over the many, many other items that were mentioned. And she said, separate and apart from this economic issue is the fact that all of these commitments are listed, but there's really nobody who's overseeing them. I guess the contact at EDC was somebody that had already been involved in previous generations of programs for the garment district before. So it was sort of like, in their eyes, there wasn't that much that was new. One of the most important things is going away after only 6 weeks, and nobody really knows kind of what the status is of the rest of the commitments, which I guess is only compounded by the fact that we have a new administration coming in.
Yeah.
So the second one I think was more of a general, issue, and it was, kind of put back on us as, you guys were involved in the negotiations. You had more of an overview. CB5 had more of an overview of what all of these commitments were. How are the rest of us, the rest of the community, supposed to get comfortable that any of these things are proceeding along, compounded by this particular issue that one of the biggest elements is going away right away. So that was, kind of the gist of a conversation that lasted about half an hour or 45 minutes.
Okay, so I'd like to read a string of emails, even including Eric Botcher's office. First of all, David writes to me, I got a call today from Tessa Mafucci, who was involved at the end of MSMX in negotiating the garment center items and the points of agreement. Apparently, one of the major EDC funding sources had a limited window of opportunity and is closing in the next few days. She cited that as an example of commitments that were made in haste that require community oversight. I thought we created a community oversight group, but I don't see it listed in the community commitment tracker. She thought CB5 should take the lead in forming a community group that could review the commitments and apply pressure to Botcher and other electeds to make progress, especially in the new administration. I promised her I'd raise this as a new business item at tomorrow's meeting. That came from David. Okay, so I forwarded that to Eric Botcher. Let's see. And it went to Lori. I wrote, for information, can you offer any response in this news? And she writes back. We met with administration, EDC, SBS, and Tessa's group, NYFWDF today. EDC reviewed all of the opportunities as they do at our monthly meetings. NYFWDC members mainly spoke to the fact that many of the EDC offerings are not relevant to them. I am checking with Tessa on the program she mentioned to David. As for the other issues that have risen, GDA sent an RFP at the end of November that is due January 15th, 26. And when I checked with Tessa, she never received it, but another member did. So that's the first thing from Lori. And then I write to Lori, what about the setup of a community oversight group? Can you attend our land use housing and zoning committee meeting tonight at 6 p.m.? What does she write back?
No.
Nobody did.
Sorry. Okay, here we sorry, but an oversight group sounds like a good, she couldn't make it, they have another event, I think they have a caroling event. Sorry, an oversight group sounds like it could be helpful. CB5 has been so involved that it seems like a good extension. And I write back, okay, so get back to me on next steps to set it up and we will get it going. So that's where we are with that.
Okay.
So we could, in addition, maybe write a letter about our concerns. And so, David, would you be willing to write that letter?
Yeah, I mean, I
What do
think
you
it
guys
would probably
think?
be a version of that email unless you think.
What is, okay, Zool.
Yeah, so mostly what you just introduced asks and answers some of my questions, but I think this is a terrible oversight. This was something that members of the public came to us with, and these were promises that were made. So if there's no one else doing the oversight, and clearly it's not EDC, I think it is an opportunity for us to get back to people who've been in attendance at these meetings and to work with them. But then the question becomes, you know, these subsidies to the landlords then are offered to who and what are the parameters of that? So there really seems to be nothing but vagary here.
Okay, Mernal was next, then Libby.
With respect to this particular grant process, do we think it makes sense for us to write a letter asking for an extension of the
Yeah.
deadline, or is that? I don't even know, because like listening to the letter from.
Yeah, it appears that we're not sure what program she's talking about, nor is Eric Botcher familiar with the program. So maybe David, you can shed light on this, because I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
if
the
I
specifics of
can
it.
call up the commitment tracker and it's listed, it's an EDC subsidy program.
Do we know how much money is at stake?
Yeah, as I said, my recollection was it was around $50 million, so. But we can check that.
Okay, Libby?
I'm just going back, I'm thinking future forward here as far as how planning might be like visually tracked, if there are other benefits and if there are expiration dates on any of those other things. Just consolidating that in like a chart, sounds like it'd be a really.
Well, yeah, that's what the commitment tracker is.
Right.
Everything that was negotiated at the end of before the
Yeah.
city council vote with the mayor's office is listed, and it's not just MSMX, every single, neighborhood rezoning that had points of agreement has that list. And then there's a status line underneath that says whether it happened or hasn't started or, so.
But if there's a funding sources that then expire, are there any other ones that are going to expire? Like,
Yeah, it's hard to tell because the language is.
that's what I'm
very
wondering, if there's a
general.
way to like change it to be like, and this source is
Yeah.
reliant on federal things or some other piece. has to
Well,
go
that's
in.
why we thought, an oversight board, because otherwise it just kind of is like, oh, who's looking at the commitment tracker and interpreting
And if
it?
it's like you missed the deadline, like you missed the deadline.
So,
Yeah.
So David, tell us where the commitment tracker is. So Julie, I don't know if Julie has.
Yeah, you've seen it, right? Let me see if I have the link.
Well, the first step might be for us to take a look at the person that is the expert on the points of agreement is Julie. Am I correct on that, everybody?
Yes.
Is the commitment tracker a Google Doc where it's like updated?
Person.
It's
No.
on the EDC.
No, it's a website, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like a active, that,
Yeah,
it's not a track, is it tracker?
yeah, it lists it, and then there's a status at the bottom of each one. I can tell you where I
Maybe we
ordered
can-
dinner
I
last
can-
night.
We can put it on the screen.
Let's see. Yeah,
Should there be a link to our website?
It's under Mayor's Office of Operations,
oh, you have that, okay.
New York City rezoning committee.
Yeah, you have like a bunch of different.
I think first thing is where,
Yeah.
what do we know? What is out there and what do we need to know? And then I guess we
Yeah,
need to
here.
talk to our chair about setting up a community.
Here, I'll share this with you.
I don't.
Community oversight
You
group.
want me to text it or email it?
It just sounds like it needs more information on that whatever is available from the city isn't sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's, so the tracker exists,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
nobody tracking the tracker.
The tracker
So-
that I found
Yeah,
online is
mine-
also not.
So will
There.
this potential letter be addressed not only to Eric Botcher and EDC and the Garment Center Alliance, but also this Mayor's Office of Operations or this, or who? the
Whoever's
mayor-
managing the tracker and
Yeah.
is allegedly
I have no
supposed to
idea.
know. I think that's a good idea, but
I
someone
just
at
say
the,
as more agencies, the better.
Probably the natural
I think
person.
we should reach out to Eric Botcher's office, write the letter to him and say, what are our next steps? We're concerned because we're getting feedback from the community. Particularly the community, the garment center businesses, and we need to know how we are going to monitor what is going on. In terms of the implementation of the various agreements that were reached in our points of agreement documents.
just the expiration dates seem to be.
Yeah, and whatever these meetings were, they were referenced in that email. I don't think we were aware that this was happening, so.
Wait,
So,
yeah, this isn't.
David,
Oh, here.
I opened the Excel file and is the item, like, did the item
There
update?
you go.
Yeah, hold on, so I'll put it in the list.
Yeah, but this isn't.
Let me find it.
Yeah, it's not.
It's listed under all the workforce stuff.
Because
Go to the Excel.
that's a ridiculously
Sorry.
short timeframe.
The usability is also a little.
Put it on the screen, which item is it?
Yeah, I'm still scrolling through. Let me see.
Tessa's something called Made in New York.
Yeah, Greenlight Innovation Fund. Recapitalizing the Greenlight Innovation Fund with $50 million to help eligible nonprofit organizations secure and develop permanent below market rate space for the garment industry.
Non-profit.
Nonprofit, yeah.
So it would apply to Tessa because she's a nonprofit. She's made in New York.
I can't read the,
Also, the language that you just read sounds like it, didn't you just say replenishing the fund?
it
That
was an
sounds like,
existing fund that was created in a previous generation of support for Midtown South.
that language to
Garment
me,
district. It wasn't used at the time.
That-
and
I don't know, the language to me just sounds like, here's a $50,000 check that's
50
going in.
million.
50 million, it goes into the fund and like, then it sits there and does whatever it does with interest.
No, I
but it
mean,
doesn't-
essentially, it recapitalizes an EDC program that had existed before. It wasn't used before, and so they were trying to, kind of reuse that concept, but the application period was very
It
short.
just doesn't sound like it is for building owners to
Is
I can read
the
it.
money still there?
landlords.
But,
Or is the
This
money-
sounds
the
like
money
it's
is
for
there.
nonprofit.
Okay.
As long as you apply within the window, and,
Is there another chance to apply like next year or no?
no, that was it.
And it just,
Yeah.
that's where it
it
doesn't feel like
says-
it's recapitalized.
$50
It
million
feels like it's
to help
temporary.
eligible nonprofit organizations secure and develop permanent below market rate space for the garment industry and other key sectors through a competitive open call for the fund. Through whatever, will prioritize projects that strengthen the garment district's role as a hub for design, manufacturing and fashion innovation. This goes on, it's three
So it doesn't
paragraphs.
sound like it's nonprofit, it has to do with garment and fashion.
Well, I think this was the concept that a nonprofit entity would lease space with this subsidy and be able to
I see,
offer
okay.
lower, lower rates. I guess maybe the nonprofit isn't subject to real estate taxes, whatever the
It's up to.
benefits are. But
It's up to, that's
Let's
the,
let Julie, but wanting to speak, you have a question
Sure.
about the tracker.
You said, the tracker, it's, the item's still there, it doesn't look like there's any updates to that item, so I don't.
it said not started, but that's not true. Yeah, it said launched as part of the Midtown Made brand fall of 2025.
Just
I don't know.
doesn't seem like.
We haven't seen the
there's no
RFP.
deadline on that.
Well, again, what was told to me was that it was a roughly 6-week window from, sometime later in the fall until I think a few days from it.
So the issue is, just a minute, Zul, the issue is, this is something that is urgent that we need to comment on right now.
Right.
But our board meeting isn't until January 8th.
Right.
So what do we do?
Bring it back.
Send an email.
You can talk to Brad. I mean, we've had things in transportation where all we're doing is reiterating something that was already in a prior
Yeah, if it's already in a
resolution,
thing,
and
it's
so
not-
it's not subject to, re-review by the board.
So I think we need a letter that's an inquiry. What is happening and why
Yeah.
is this? why
Has
is this-
adequate
why
time
is
been
this-
allowed for response?
Exactly. And then that's the first part. The second part is, what about the community oversight committee? To monitor the implementation of the, agreed upon
Yeah.
points of agreement.
Yeah, which was in one of our earlier resolutions in the points of agreement.
Right, so maybe if you could write another letter. I think, okay, Zul, what is your?
I think we need something much more firm than a letter of inquiry. This looks like an empty promise made. When we've had a lot of people from the public, while we were considering the MSMX, and there needs to be oversight and has been none. We've got nothing but unknowns and the unknown unknowns. So we want an extension this thing. We want to know who this is available to, what the parameters are, and how we can help the community that the promises were made to.
I don't think we can say that there's nothing happening. We don't know that. We are just not informed. So first thing is we have to become informed what the status is.
Yeah, and along the lines of what we were talking about before, we can't say anything we didn't say before, otherwise that has to go through the committee
Right.
and back to the board. So, we would be reiterating,
Right.
these 2 points
Right.
and
Send them to Eric Botcher's office
Finessing,
and then
yeah.
I'll bug them till they give us an answer. Mike,
Well, along those lines, I was gonna ask, using what we've already passed, to just ask Marissa to bug people or city agencies until we get a letter passed by exec or by full board. Just to have you, David, or whoever, and Marissa at the office contacting city agencies to say that this is a problem while we get something passed.
Julie. Can you take this down? As those part of notes for the meeting. David, so do you want to write a letter and then?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll re-listen to all this, so.
Okay.
We don't need notes, but,
okay.
I'm happy.
I sort of
to,
feel like we need something in writing for tonight.
yeah.
Transcript.
So do we want to vote on this, on sending this letter, or is this not really, I really can't figure out. I think it's just a follow-up.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
Not
we,
like it's a voting item.
no, right.
And we
So-
could do a voting item if we wanted to add anything new.
I mean, if it's
and then
going from
Brad
the
could do
committee-
something. It does sound like there's a
If it's
time.
going through the committee, then it should be a vote.
It should be a
Yeah,
vote,
well,
yeah.
let me just argue the alternative, which is as
Oh.
soon as we vote on it,
Then the board.
then what? Then it has to go to the board to vote.
And then it stops. We
Yeah.
can't submit. can't-
So as long as we keep it, narrow enough to stay within the confines of what we got approved before. And, we'll talk to Brad about this, but then I think we're better off than having a whole discussion and a new resolution and starting the wheel over again.
Yes, I agree. I think that's the way we'll go. So, we don't have any other new items. There's
Can I
no,
just
yeah.
while we're on this, I mean, part of what came up in my discussion was, and you can correct me because you've been on this committee a lot longer than I have, but you know, like just the fact that, oh, somebody called me to talk about something that we did last summer, where usually we're like, oh, on to the next. Here, we're like, yeah, you know what? There is a big community oversight piece. It's right in our backyard. Are we really built to do this? How would we, you know, kind of undertake this? So I think that's a separate, you know, that could be a, you know, where we really have a committee discussion and take it to the board, like how do we proceed with something like this, you know? Anyway,
We're waiting to hear back from Lori.
yeah,
Proctor's office on that, so we are on the record as saying, okay, we want to do this, tell us how to set it up, tell us what you want us to
Yeah.
do.
Just for reference, like the one is, they meet every month. They have an oversight committee that they just created.
right.
And if people volunteer to be on it.
Yeah, I think Atlantic Avenue has the same thing and Inwood has the same thing.
She's saying in their email that they're meeting every month, but they haven't included us. Exactly, so that's.
So who is in the meeting? This is
Yeah.
Lori.
Well, I read off, I read.
It seemed focused on the garment center stuff, though. Was that the,
No,
Oh,
didn't
okay.
appear as though that was it.
oh, okay, all right.
Kiwanis is so organized, they have monthly meetings, but the monthly meetings are broken down by categories. There's like a waterfront committee, there's like a housing committee, you know, like.
It's like us. Okay, so now that you bring that up, Julie, would you be willing to put together a little strategy on what we want to push for, and we could take that to the January board meeting?
I mean, do you think our community board has availability for people to do this?
Yeah, I think so.
People think so?
I think there's some people who might want to get involved.
Could I say, I think it should be a broader audience than just the community board. I mean, folks like the lady that brought that issue up, I mean, she would be a good candidate to be on.
It sounds like she's already.
What I was saying is, I think, yes, I think we can do that. What I thought Julie could do is she could tell us how Gowanus has put it, what they've put together, and see if you can relate it to how it might work with our points of agreement. In other words, what are their committees, or how are they doing it? I don't know.
They're very organized. The community board is well connected with all these organizations in their neighborhood.
So we're talking about an oversight committee?
Yes.
Yeah, but
That's a great idea.
they have a lot of nonprofits in that community that's active, where I don't know, does Midtown have?
Well, we don't have a smelly canal going through our neighborhood that is filled with putrid.
The number of units
water.
is similar though. I mean, what's Gowanus is 8,500 units or something like that. And
I mean,
so,
this was a complete renewal.
yeah, I mean, we could, you know, we have reps on bids and, you know,
Yeah,
we
that's
could
what I would
do this. And, you know, if there's a structure, we can fit in the structure. I don't know if we're the creator of the structure, but.
And we have a record of people who came in from the public while we were
Yeah.
going through all this MX stuff. And, you know, this could end up as just a bunch of empty promises that no one's followed up on. And if we can organize an oversight committee with the communities, the groups most affected, that could be helpful.
I'm looking for a volunteer who wants to just put something down on paper, because the way the process works is you put something down on paper, and then from there we edit and revise and we comment and we develop it into something very powerful. Who would like to do that?
I mean, I can add it to my letter.
Okay, or make it, or separate. I mean, it doesn't have to be complete. It just has to be the first stab. And then maybe,
Yep.
you can send it out to our committee members and people can add, you know, like we did the Google Doc for the points of agreement. right?
Yeah. How would you feel about forwarding me your email chain so I can?
Mine?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Is that all right?
I'll forward that to you.
yeah, I mean, I'm fine saying, you know, we have FOMO and you're having meetings that we're not a part of.
All of our friends are hanging out without us.
Yeah, exactly.
What again?
FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
You're having meetings, you're not inviting us, are there snacks?
Yeah, it's like.
Sometimes.
No,
Lori,
the sponsors
Lori.
office.
Sometimes
known as
Pooh Bar.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the biggest, on a dollar basis, the Broadway Vision is the biggest part of that whole package, and that is kind of moving along, so, but.
Well-
thought that they would include us and it would just go natural, but that's not what's happening.
No, and that's when I,
Yeah.
I remember us asking that this should be created. Everybody thought it was a good idea, but it didn't show up in the list.
Now the question is, do we have to go to Brad or this is just follow up for what we already did? We're just following up.
Yeah. I'll write the letter and we can circulate it.
I mean, if you want to write the letter, one letter could be that and the other could be a second part to it, which is just about our request for this committee.
No,
No,
I'll include it.
okay.
Yeah, we already asked for that. It was in our points of agreement. Yeah.
And Julie, I don't know if you want to add anything to this.
Well, I'll circulate it.
Okay. Mike,
During MSMX, I remember Renee Cafaro.
yes,
And she was saying that the Garment Center Alliance were not in agreement with the business owners. They
No.
were in agreement with the land,
no,
building owners,
the Garment Center Alliance was in agreement with the building
owners.
owners, but not with the businesses,
some.
because the Garment Center Alliance is the building owners. The other organizations are the tenants. Right, so what protections?
So there's a lawsuit going on now, the whole last minute change where they blocked out,
Yes.
whatever it was,
Forgot
40 buildings and
yeah.
they left them M zone. That's going through the courts.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay, so
All right,
I think we're done.
thank you.
Thank
Gonna leave
everybody.
not up down,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, whole lobby there.
and then one.
Wait, maybe not.
Lobby for what was so special about?
It is.
No, we.
Oh, so
Oh.
we had,
Just wait a
you
minute.
know, our request was to downzone the mid block
Yeah, yeah,
there so that there was
Yeah.
better, more preservation.